The University of Queensland Research Computing Centre sits between researchers of any kind in the university and advanced infrastructure. So we run systems, we help people use those systems, and we also engage in a lot of other activities such as training and hacky hours and the like. RCC actually engages with researchers in a variety of ways. So the first one is that we run a number of systems. We run something like about 4 or 5 different high-performance computing systems or parallel systems. And if a researcher knows what to do there, then we get out of their way. They come in and they use those systems, and we keep them available for them. We also engage with researchers on one-on-one. So they may have a particular question about how to achieve something, and we'll sit down with them and actually help them solve those problems. So we really work across everything from the provision of systems right through to advanced services. We also run training sessions. One of the ones we've run for the longest has been our high performance computing training, which is about a half-day training course on how to use the supercomputers. So we have a sort of like a vanilla high performance computing parallel system that's called Tinaroo. That's something like around about 6,000 cores. It's the most general parallel computing system that we have, and it's a traditional cluster. We have a machine called Flashlight, which is around about 1,500 cores, and it targets big data. So it comes with very large amounts of main memory, very large amounts of high-speed flash memory, and that's particularly focused on problems that want to process a lot of data in memory and on high-speed storage. We run a high-throughput system. There's a couple of those in which people launch a large number of jobs that are not necessarily parallel jobs, but they're streamed through the system. We run a machine called Vina, which is a GPU-based cluster. That's being used very heavily at the moment in machine learning and also in processing scientific instrument data. And then over and above that, we make use of the QCIF Chris Cloud, which is a multi-thousand CPU research cloud, which is part of the Australian Nectar Cloud Federation. Most of our computer systems are actually not on the university campus. They're in a tier 3 data center about 20 kilometers from the campus. That's connected by high-speed fiber at 100 gigabits. And so we're able to allow researchers to access that as though we're on campus. A small number of our systems, such as the Venus supercomputer, is actually housed on campus, as are desktops and the like. And importantly, of course, all of our scientific instruments are on campus. And so with high-speed networking, we're able to connect these up and move data around in a way that really researchers aren't aware that it's actually distributed over quite a large region. So the other infrastructure that we run is the data storage infrastructure. This is a hierarchical storage system that at the back end has tens of petabytes of storage, and then through a very innovative and novel platform, we present that to users either on a high-performance computer, or they could access it on their desktop, or they could access it on a scientific instrument. Pretty much anywhere they want to use that data, we're able to make it visible. And we do that, as I said, through a fairly advanced infrastructure called Medici that presents the file systems in many different ways at very high speed. We run a number of data movement services, and we're just implementing some new high-speed services there. So when users want to move data from either across the campus or increasingly from other places in Australia and the world, they're able to do that using very high-speed data transport services. Over and above that, we run a number of software systems. So you'll find that there are domain-specific software systems that people want to use as services. So for example, if you're working in optical microscopy, you may use the Amero system. If you're working in medical imaging, you may be using a system, for example, called XNAT. And so RCC runs a number of those software stacks and again makes them available. RCC is somewhat unique because what we do is we combine the best skills in the technology that we're working with, but we also have people with PhDs in various application disciplines. So, for example, we have some of our staff hold a PhD in chemistry or physics, and that means that they can then sit down with researchers in those other areas as peers and not just as someone who's really only trained in computing. So I think that's quite a distinctive feature of our Research Computing Centre, and I have to say of similar units in other universities. Another area where RCC has expertise is in visualization, and in particular in scientific visualization. And so we have built systems that help researchers visualize their data. We also use other external products and software tools for that and run training around them. We're very excited that we've recently formed a partnership with IBM called the IBM at UQ Centre of Excellence in Innovation. This is very new, and the idea is that we'll work with them as a vendor to test advanced technologies, to apply their technologies in ways that maybe they hadn't considered, and really push the technology forward. As I said, we're very excited about this because it means that we have access to the latest infrastructure. And from their point of view, they get a perfect sandpit. They get access to research problems that are demanding, current, and are really pushing the envelope. We very much work with researchers who need the latest infrastructure. And so this really is a win-win. It's new, and we're going to see how it pans out. But I think you can expect to see some great results from that. We're already seeing some very early wins. RCC is also engaged with other universities and researchers from other universities through a variety of projects. We're currently involved in three funded projects from the Australian Research Data Commons. The biggest of these is working with a consortium of universities around characterization and how to set up software stacks for supporting microscopy and scientific instrumentation. So that's a particularly large one. We're also working with universities in building software stacks for medical scanner technology. And we have one in the area of machine learning. So these are multi-year projects funded by the Commonwealth Government, and they allow us to both engage nationally on large-scale projects, but also tailor those, adopt and adapt technologies for use within our university for our researchers.